want to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked. The children. They don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
Now, there's a lot to unpack there, but you should know that she almost immediately deleted it because the instant reaction from Americans was to absolutely ridicule this absurdly narcissistic response from somebody trying to make this all about her, weeping for people, in some cases I've seen, rapists and murderers. What is she crying about?
That is a great question, Piers. Apparently, Selena Gomez is now the spokesperson for immigration policy. Yeah, I didn't have that on my bingo card either. In this clip of Piers Morgan Uncensored, Piers Morgan goes in on Selena Gomez's tearful video about deportation that she instantly deleted because the internet wasn't buying it. This is a very great clip to check out now since the world is talking about this deportation and these controversial opinions and videos, in which this clip embodies that controversy the best that I've seen. So let's get into it without spoiling anything, where I'll be giving you my unfiltered take.
In some cases, like right here in my state, it was a U.S. citizen and veteran, Piers, that was also detained without a warrant at his place of work. So, I mean, if you want to talk about the rapists and criminals that are being detained, but you're just going to not refer to those situations as well, we're not really painting a full picture. And I want to just stop really quickly on the emotion that she expressed there. We are traumatizing our society as we speak. We are traumatizing our children. There are kids in my town where I live. My kids are 12 and almost 12 and 15 years old, and they ask me every day. My friends want to know when their parents are going to be taken, and will they have to go too? And if they don't go, who will take care of them? There was a video that went around my town last night that children here thought was real, of ICE coming and taking kids out of their homes.
So let me ask you.
Before you ask her, Piers, I have to ask this question. Are we now basing policy on viral TikTok rumors? Seriously? A fake video went around town, and now it's the government's fault. You've got kids believing random clips they saw online, and instead of saying, hey, don't believe everything you see on the internet, the response is, well, we better stop enforcing immigration law. This is what happens when emotions run the show instead of facts. Instead of educating people on the reality of immigration enforcement, we just throw logic out the window and let social media dictate national policy. Is that what politics looks like these days? I'm not sure.
This
All right, let me
is
ask you.
traumatizing,
Let me ask you.
Piers.
Okay, Jojo, let me ask you. So do you believe then that it is entirely correct and proper that illegal immigrants who've entered the country illegally and are then criminals who've broken the law, that they should be allowed to stay? And what about the million people who've already been processed for deportation under the Biden administration but weren't actually deported? Would you keep them as well? In other words, for you, is there no limit to what people can do? They can come in illegally, they can break the law with impunity, they can be processed for deportation, but still you want to keep them in America. Well, what are you saying? It's important to clarify it.
Well, I never said that, but I never said that at all. In fact, I will say that, first of all, my father was an immigrant who came here lawfully from Lebanon, worked for 50 years for the Department of Defense, believed in the shining city on a hill. I would also say that if we're going to have that I believe that, by the way, there is much reform to be made to the immigration process in this country. If I were an expert on that, I'd have a very different job. I'm not. I will say that it needs to be done and needs to be addressed. But if we're going to have the conversation about consequences and rule of law, then we need to have that conversation about somebody sitting on your panel right now who was a January 6th insurrectionist and was pardoned for his crimes.
As someone who constantly checks out political clips, I have seen this card played over and over again by the left. It's like their get out of jail free card. When losing, just yell January 6th. What does that have to do with anything? We're talking about illegal immigration and suddenly it's about some guy on the panel. This is the same game they always play. Forget about the actual issue and look over here instead. I mean, imagine talking about fixing potholes in your city and someone interrupts like, well, what about this guy's tax returns? This is why nothing ever gets solved, because people refuse to stay on topic and answer basic questions. I guess that's just the reality of US politics.
So if you're going to thread the needle on what is acceptable in terms of allowing crime and what is not acceptable in terms of allowing crime or forgivable in terms of allowing crime because of the color of someone's skin or the status of their citizenship, then I don't think this is a conversation about the rule of law at all.
Okay, but just to be clear, because you haven't answered the question, would you let illegal immigrants who break the law
Do I think that people
stay
should
in
be able
America?
to? No, I don't. I don't think anyone should be able to break the law in this country and have no consequences for it. I do think that there are other ways to handle immigration rather than rounding people up in their elementary schools or going to their places of work or showing up at the groves where they're picking the citrus fruit that none of us will pick. And so that whole thing that we don't even have half the citrus crops we used to have because no one will pick it. Do I think that they should be able to commit crimes willy-nilly? No, I don't think anybody in this country should be able to do that. But do I think dehumanizing them by putting it on TV with Dr. effing Phil is the way to do it? No. We've seen this playbook before, Piers. Everyone on this panel knows we've seen this playbook before. This is how you dehumanize people so that you can get clear the path towards atrocity.
Okay,
and I'm not on board with that.
Let me ask you my favorite. All right, before I go to Brandon to respond, do you know my favorite question for my liberal friends is who was the biggest deporter of them all? Who deported more illegal immigrants than any president in history, pro rata, per year?
You're going to say Barack Obama, right? You're going to say Barack Obama.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying it for any reason other than it is Barack Obama. He deported over 3 million illegal immigrants in 8 years.
She knew the answer before he even gave it. The biggest liberal hypocrisy of them all. Obama deported millions, yet nobody cared. No celebrity videos, no crying Instagram posts, no late night TV outage. But now, suddenly, deportation is the most evil thing ever. This just proves that none of this outrage is real. It's all just political theater. If Obama did it, it was responsible reinforcement. If anybody else does it, it's fascism. That's the game they play, and guess what? People are finally waking up to it.
Did he have Dr. Phil do it on TV?
I don't really care whether Dr. Phil's there or not. My point is, the greatest deporter of all, the man who earned the moniker of deporter-in-chief in Mexico, was actually a Democrat president, Barack Obama. And I don't remember people like you screaming about how inhumane it all was when that was going on. In fact, most liberals I know have no idea, A, that he deported 3 million people, or B, that he was the deporter-in-chief.
Why?
Anyway,
because he didn't turn it into a reality show, Piers. It wasn't designed to dehumanize them. Because he didn't make it into a prop and cops and reality TV. It wasn't the Hunger Games or Running Man. That's why. You don't think this is dehumanizing them, Piers? Do you support that? Let me ask you a question, Piers. Do you support them being dehumanized?
I think when you try and say that nobody, I think when you, no, I don't agree with anyone being dehumanized, but I do agree with illegal immigrants.
That's what's happening, is it not?
In any country being thrown out, yeah. Because by the way, I have to go through a very vigorous process. Well, unfortunately for you, I asked the questions.
Indeed you do, Mr. Piers. So what did we learn today? Well, for one, celebrities are out of touch. The media picks and chooses when to care about laws, and the left still can't answer a simple question about immigration. I say this almost every single year, but it's almost like politics truly never changes. It's the same playbook every single year. But, of course, we'll continue to call it out since it's a never-ending game. As always, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on the points made here, and in general as a whole, it's always something I want to hear. Be sure to give us a like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.